And now we have Doreen Kealoha Nui, who has addressed the Department of Interior's hearing panel. Aloha, Doreen, and thank you very much for joining us.
Mahalo, mahalo.
Can you tell us what your essential thoughts are and the whole idea of the Department of Interior coming to Hawaii rather than perhaps, I think you had also mentioned perhaps it should be the Department of State?
Yes, I did. The Department of Interior is responsible for natural resources, I believe, and land, and the interaction within a native people. And to me, that says that they're here to work with the colonized people. We are not colonized. We are an independent, recognized internationally state, the Hawaiian Kingdom.
Can we then separate the two by two terms? Mm-hmm. One, domestic as opposed to international. And are you saying that the Department of Interior is essentially a body that addresses the domestic aspect of the nation and not the international relations between nations?
Yes, the Department of Interior is a domestic agency under the federal government of the United States of America. Being that the Hawaiian Kingdom is an independent, recognized sovereign nation, and because there is no proof of a treaty of annexation. It was concluded with a congressional act, illegal, and their power is limited, is not limited beyond their borders. And being the United States of America is a sovereign state, the same status of the Hawaiian Kingdom. They have no jurisdiction here. So they are legally occupying our country.
So essentially you are denying the legitimacy of the overthrow and the so-called cession of Hawaii to the United States.
Absolutely. There is no reason why they should be here. And what has happened because of the brainwashing and the usurpation of our identity, we have been brainwashed for 121 years, beginning with our kupuna and beginning with the children. I'm speaking about my ancestor, the children, my great-grandparents, who were taught in the in a colonized mentality, Americanized, I think I should be using, because we're not colonized, but the effects are there. And they should not be here. And I believe that now that we are being more educated every day, and thanks to those brilliant PhDs and strong warriors, Hawaiian warriors, who are able to devote their time to teach and educate our nation.
Let me ask you this question, though, that the Department of Interior and others who have testified somewhat supporting the intervention of the Department of Interior is saying at least through this federal recognition, we would be able to secure for the Native Hawaiian community, and that's the language that they are using, the Native Hawaiian community, to secure those things that we have struggled for, from Kuhio, the Hawaiian Homestead Act, and all of those other things. Is it possible to somehow preserve those rights within the current situation here in Hawaii and still continue to strive for our independence or our recognition of our independence?
We have been recognized already in 1843. We don't have to be recognized. We already are.
But how do you address the second question of how do we preserve those things that we have now, such as the preservation of Bishop Estate or Kamehameha schools, the Ali'i Trust, the Hawaiian Homestead programs and other things, and rather than losing all of that, preserve those things? How do we secure and make sure that those things are preserved while we continue to struggle for the emergence or re-emergence or the functionality of the Hawaiian national government?
Well, my thoughts are these things, of course, are essential concerns. It's relative. It causes fear internally, and that causes a lot of people to hold back because they want to protect what they have. They're in a comfort zone. What they need to do is be educated. Now, as far as the making it, what I'm trying to say is we should not compromise.
Do you think that the attempt to preserve those things that are already created within U.S. law and within Hawaii state law is a compromise if we take advantage of any of these things and don't go full hog just for our independent nation? For example, we have many people who are on Hawaiian homestead lands. The fact that they pay their lease or the fact that they even apply, is this necessarily a compromise, or is this a reality, a daily reality that they face?
The reality is, because it's every act, every promise, everything that after 1893 is illegal. So essentially, these sort of benefits that we receive will be dealt after the Hawaiian Kingdom's government is reinstated.
But in the meantime?
But in the meantime, we need to educate.
Yes, but what actually happens to the benefits themselves while we are so-called educating? What are the step-by-step process? Or are we willing to let that all go and just say that we are only going to concentrate on the Hawaiian Kingdom?
All I can say that's coming from my na'au is that it will be dealt with the reestablishment of our government and the deoccupation of America. They have to the President of the United States is responsible, his office is responsible to administer Hawaiian Kingdom law and the law of occupation. This is what America, the United States, not America, the United States of America is supposed to be doing. And that's where the pilikia comes from. So,
yeah, we recognize the pilikia. The U.S. Congress has itself apologized, confessed to the illegalities that have occurred. So there's no question about the recognition of the pilikia. Mm-hmm. The question is now, how do we get out of the bucket that the Americans have created and placed us within?
We have the international arena. We are protective. We have our protective people by a protective power in the international arena. And
can you be specific? Name one particular arena that has protected the Native Hawaiian community or the Hawaiian nation.
I can't say because it has not been confirmed to me personally. So all I can say that we do have a protective power. So my thoughts, and this is personal, my thoughts is international arena is working out to in. And we are working from in to out. This has to be done this way. I believe God is in control, and with prayer and understanding, wisdom, and knowledge, we will achieve what was supposed to be ours. And it has to be done in peace. And we cannot say what's going to happen to Department of Hawaiian Homes. I do know, however, it's an illegal act. Prince Kuhio did what he felt that was the only thing he could do, because by that time he was caught in the middle. So whatever he did was to help his people. And if he had lobbied for the department some kind of control over some protective of our lands to us, then for that time it was important, because we had absolutely nothing that we could do. But now that we are learning, it's going to have to happen, because the truth is out there, and no DOI or United States State Department or the Defense Department can do anything. But yes, we are a target. We're in harm's way because of all the military ports here and their military installations. In addition, this is a neutral country like Switzerland.
Before we go into the neutrality of Hawaii, you raise two historical figures. One, Liliuokalani, Queen, and the second is Prince Kuhio. And they've taken some interesting positions that may not actually be reflected in your position. And the reason I say that is this. Kuhio, at the beginning when he was charged for misprision of treason, well, I think it was treason itself, and they brought him before the court, and he said, I am only too proud to plead guilty. Okay? And he was steadfast in his belief of Hawaiian integrity, Hawaiian sovereignty. Yet he became, I think it was a Republican. He ran for political office. He was elected to be the delegate to Congress for Hawaii, and he fought to establish the Native Hawaiian or the Hawaiian Homestead Act within a structure that to a certain extent he recognized as illegal, but the fact that the Native Hawaiians needed that protection under this particular law. And yet it seems that I would not come to the conclusion that he relinquished his claim for independence. Are you saying that we need to, at this point, relinquish all of those claims and hang on to independence, or can we continue to struggle in preserving the integrity of the people themselves, their livelihood, their education, and the rest, but still continue to struggle for independence?
Well, to struggle for independence, like I said, we are independent. We have our sovereignty. We don't have to be recognized any longer. The only thing that's holding us back is the illegal occupation.
But when you say we are independent, the fact is that 1/3 of our lands are controlled by the feds or by the state. The military is all over this place. The armaments that are in our lands are filled in our lands, probably the most. So to suggest that we are independent, we do not even have control of who comes into Hawaii or who flies out of Hawaii. We have no control over population. You may be correct, I would suggest, to say that we have a right to independence. But the fact that the Americans are in here and are interfering with our exercise of independence does not really prove to me that we are in fact independent.
Kaulana nā pua o Hawaii